What's up, Rams? I'm Alec Erickson, and today I'm sitting down with a couple of members of Glass Cases. How are you guys doing today?
Doing all right.
Pretty good.
All right, so let's kind of just get introductions out of the way. Who are you and what do you do in the band, you know?
Well, my name's Austin, and I am the backup vocalist. I play the ukulele, I play the piano, guitar, and bass.
All right.
I am lead vocalist and bass, guitar, ukulele.
Okay, sweet. And so let's kind of just jump right into it. How did you guys come about forming the band? How did you all come together to play music?
Well, it was Alex pretty much. He was just messing around one day with his guitar, and he asked me to come over. He's like, hey, you want to just write some music and, you know, just hang out? And so we started writing it, and we just kept doing it until we just thought one day, hey, let's see where this is going to lead.
Yeah, and so did you guys kind of think that just playing a couple of guitars together that you would end up forming a band in the long run, or was this kind of just like a side project at the time?
Side project at the time, yeah. And we actually recorded like a much simpler album about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. Yeah, a year and a half ago. And it was just not nearly as good as what we put out now. But yeah, we didn't really know where it was going. We still quite don't, but it's moving, and that's what counts. So
yeah, you guys are kind of this like newer project kind of forming right now, and so is it a challenge right now that you're trying to like form a sound, or do you guys think you're kind of like refining what you have at the moment?
Right, that's a good question. So with this first album, our debut album that we put out, we were definitely testing with a lot of different sounds. I'd say maybe like 2 or 3 primary ones that we liked, and we already have we're planning on our next album. We already have 4 or 5 songs for that, much more refined, and we have like a glass case sound that we've come to. And this first album hits on it, but it's definitely kind of a test run for us, and this, moving forward, it's just going to improve, and we'll get a little more refined. So.
Okay. And so you're kind of talking about your self-titled album a little bit, and the thing with that is it has a lot of these juxtaposition songs within it. You have a lot of stuff about good times and bad times. What was it kind of like getting into the mindset of writing those kinds of songs, you know?
A lot of these songs that we wrote, like especially for me, I wrote kind of in the past, even before this band ever came together. So it was like pretty much off of old experiences and then newer ones, as the band kind of continued and what I like went through and stuff. And so those are the songs that I wrote. So they were kind of always been with me and through all the experiences. And
right,
his songs are in and out too.
Right. So I think that's what adds to the fact that our sound will be more refined in the future. That this first album was songs that we had written over years, and it was more kind of a conglomeration of a lot of different experiences, a lot of different life points, and as we come into this next, we'll play these songs and let them set us off. But this next album is a much more recent look at who we are now, and that's obviously months away, if not a year away. But overall, that it is many years of work kind of put into one album. So
okay, and so kind of talking on recording another album after you just recently put out another one, what's it like to immediately kind of go into and start again after just putting out something?
Right. That's a good question. So considering it took us, we self-recorded this, which was a lot of work, and I both recommend it and don't recommend it. It gives you a lot of freedom, but it takes away a lot of time from actually playing your music. And we're just now entering the Fort Collins music scene, Colorado music scene, because it took us so long we had a huge learning curve with audio production, and there's so much to learn. You can be a musician, but the actual engineering, mastering, all of that is something that we had to learn. And so we are going to take our time into this next album, and we will get it professionally recorded. It'll be a little more tight, less songs, and it will be less time consuming because you can knock out a song in 2 or 3 days. And if you record 8 songs, it's not a huge time commitment. So it's not too daunting for me. moving forward. And like I said, I know a lot of bands who put out their debut album and then a year later they put out a second album because they kind of, do what we do. They have to refine their sound and they want to keep, and they have so much music they want to put out. So, yeah.
They're kind of riding that high of putting out the first album that they kind of want to keep that creative process going a little bit.
Exactly, yeah. And we know we haven't put out our best yet, which is why. It's like, well, we will ride as far as we can with this first album. But, in order to keep going in music, you not only have to keep making, you have to give out your best as long as you can, So that's the plan, yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so you both are songwriters for the band, and so what's that kind of like where do you both kind of bounce ideas off each other, or you both kind of just like come up with something, work as long as you can, and then kind of show the other and see what kind of happens from there?
It's kind of cool. Like we both have like kind of different styles of writing, but the stuff we write about are kind of like similar. And so we like to bounce song ideas off of each other, of course, but sometimes like if Alex comes up with the lyrics and he has a little tune for it, then I'm like, okay, well, let's see what we can add with like my instrument and stuff, and vice versa. So we never really collide, I guess, which is good. It was very fortunate that we both like each other's styles, and it kind of separates, it makes every song different, so not every song is the same format and whatnot.
Yeah, and you both play a lot of different instruments, and so does that tend to lend to creating more different styles than like the traditional kind of thing?
Yeah.
Certainly does. I think the best thing that we're both very good guitarists, both very good at ukulele. He solely plays piano, and that is like a really important part of our sound. We're not like a rock band in any way, because not that you can't have piano and rock band, but like a classic rock, but piano is like such an elegant instrument, and I have no insight into that. So we'll have certain song styles, especially as we make more songs. Like I'll make something on the ukulele, and okay, what can we fuse this with on the piano? It flows really well. It really does, especially writing style and everything. And we'll combine lyrics sometimes. It's a lot of fun, and that's kind of why we've been making so much music, is because I don't know how common that is, that you have two people who work really well together. It's almost like doubling your amount of product. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, certainly. And a lot of bands, they start out with kind of just throwing out an EP, and that's like focused on one sound, and another EP that's focused on another. But you guys are kind of diving into the whole album process while you're still refining your sound.
Right.
And so would you say that there's a lot of creative challenges when it comes to doing a thematic album or coming to do an entire album in that regard?
Right. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like for us, we just like all different types of sounds. We're not stuck to one, but we know Glass Cases has a sound spread out into all these different kind of genres of music. Mm-hmm. And so with our first album, we just wanted to put something out there. We wanted to say like, all right, these are all our songs, and this is sweet. But now with our next album, we're gonna kind of refine it, and we're gonna make sure that it's a sound that really does define us, and it's going to have our sound and not, stuff that kind of go out of what we want. And so, I don't know, it's, I don't think we're ever going to go from like genre to genre with the CDs. We're always going to have a mix, but it's always going to be like our mix,
Okay. And I agree with you. There's challenges, and it has been challenging, it has been challenging with this first CD to kind of, in my mind, understand what is our best. And that's almost sort of, that challenge is sort of what we wanted. We wanted not only for ourselves to see what we like best, but what other people like best, right? Not, and that's it. That is important. Obviously, you need people, you want people's feedback. And we could have done that through SoundCloud or something, but there's just not the same, we were okay with, I guess the best way to put it, we were okay with not failing, but taking a risk. We were okay with that on that first album, because there's two ways to go about it in my mind. You can put out just your most refined, absolute best sound on your first album, which is amazing, and I love that. Like I love Kaleo's first album. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely incredible. But then you look at a band like Modest Mouse or Green Day, and their first albums were just a conglomeration of all these songs that they had, and they just wanted to get in. They just wanted to start, and I feel like we go more with that style, and we'll move forward. Obviously, bands like Modest Mouse and Green Day, now have their sound. And we're okay with taking that risk because going forward, we love it and we're not going to stop, you know. And you just get smarter and better musicians and more creative. So
yeah, and there's certainly something there when you have a more kind of raw, rough edge to a first album kind of thing. It kind of gives you a lot of leeway to work with in the future. And so kind of branching out of the production style, how about going live? What about playing in the Fort Collins music scene? How's that been for you guys?
it's been pretty good. So our biggest challenge that we had to overcome, my little brother was our drummer for about the last year, but he had some issues. So we had a new drummer come in about a month and a half ago. So we had to get him up and running before we really tackled the music scene. Mm-hmm. So we've had a house gig, and then we've been playing at Avo's a lot, just very casually. Our first real gig is next Thursday, November 2nd, at the Downtown Artery, and we're opening up for Seth Gleer. So we feel beyond prepared, you know, because it's been a long time. But honestly, we're just excited, you know. We're just really pumped to do this, so.
Yeah, and so kind of going into what is the process for you guys to kind of get prepared for a show like that? Like, what are you doing to get prepped and everything?
Well, mainly we have we depend a little bit on technology for some of our sound that we kind of play along with. So it's like kind of preparing all of that, make sure everything is in order. Mm-hmm. And I mean, performing live, I think we're all ready. We're all prepared, like mentally, and we just want to get up there and play, you know, share our music. But I think it's all the logistical stuff that we are focusing on right now, making sure that everything's going to flow nice and smoothly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, and we really, really like 21 Pilots. And they're similar to us where they use a backing track and they use in-ear monitors to listen to a click while they're playing. So that's going to be new to us. And you know, we're going to go to the Downtown Artery, and you know, we're in communication with them and see how that works, because we've set up our own setup until this point, like all our own equipment and getting that all set up. Honestly, that's my main nerves, is just getting the technical, you know, technology stuff out of the way. Because then once I'm up there, it's kind of, you sort of lose yourself a little bit. You just get into it.
You kind of just fall into the groove and the rhythm of what you've done so many times before, just on a different setting, different stage.
Exactly, exactly. And we kick it off, you know, we have like our set songs that we play in the same order, at least right now. We kick it off with Addiction, which is, you know, one of our favorite songs, and people that, you know, listen to our music, one of their favorite songs. And it just really sets the mood early. Like, we can just get into it, you know, because you need something to kind of grab onto the, you know, just completely let go and play. So, yeah.
All right. And so where can people find you? On social media? Do you have a website, all that kind of stuff?
Mainly social media right now. Like Facebook and Instagram, it's always Glass Cases Band. Yeah. We are working on the website at the moment, just kind of figure out how we want to set that up, but mainly it's just on social media.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys obviously have a gig lined up for next week at Downtown Artery. Anything planned in the future that you know of yet, or kind of just in the works?
Yeah. We have a feature spot at Avo's, which is really casual. It's not even going to be like full tech setup. And then we've been talking to them, and they said, you know, they know us now, and they're like, put in a request for a show. So we'll play a show at Avo's hopefully in January is the next slot. And then we're going to enter the Scene Music Contest, which is 8 bands get selected. You submit your music, they select 8 bands, and then the winner gets all this stuff. But honestly, I'm hoping I would love just to be part of that. Just part of the 8. And then other than that, playing as much as we can, because playing is a whole nother art, you know, and being a performer. And we grew up in the Springs, so we have a whole nother, I guess, market, whole nother neighborhood that we can tap into down there, and our drummer lives in Denver. So we'll just play as much as we can and keep building.
Just kind of dominate the I-25 corridor.
Yeah, if the traffic lets us. Yeah. So that's the plan, though. Yeah, we're not going to let anything stop us. So.
All right, that sounds awesome. I want to thank you guys so much for coming out and talking about the band and everything you've worked on so far. Make sure to check out Glass Cases on social media. They have an album out, and they have a gig next week at Downtown Artery. So thanks so much for coming, guys.
Thanks.
Thank
and we're
you.
on Spotify and Apple Music and all that as well if you want to stream our music. But all right. Thank
All right,
you, Alec.
thank you. Have a good night.